Okay, we're going to talk about the accessibility assistance workflow. We haven't talked about this for a while, so it might be a kind of a reminder or refresher or kind of a new concept to some of you because it hasn't been highly used all the way around. So this is probably a good question and answer, but this is what's going to happen. And so here's what we're going to talk about next. The accessibility workflow, I'm going to talk about these 5 main points and then I'll go into each weed. But the accessibility assistant workflow is who's responsible for processing these tickets. And again, you're probably like, what is she talking about? And I'll get there. The timeline of the assistance workflow, I mean, how tickets are created and how the process of the ticket and the DX accessibility dashboard. So we got some enhancements here coming our way. So just kind of high level, you might have questions within this process that I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to hit all of it here in a minute, and that's kind of my timeline or agenda for this particular topic. So let's kind of go back in time just to kind of refresh everybody to make sure we're all on the same page. But we all know that on the feedback tab and on the footer, we have an accessibility link on each website, right? Not everybody has a feedback tab, but at least everybody in the footer has a unique keyword, unique URL on the bottom. It says accessibility assistance, right? And what's been happening since quite some time is that the DX team, particularly Suzanne, we can all give her kudos because she's answered a lot of requests. 325, I think, is the total since we've launched. But yeah, that's who is taking care of that. Go ahead, Natalie. Did you have a? Oh, okay. Because I'm like, I could be going off here. But anyway, so we've had this. But again, Suzanne has been processing these, and then some of you have received maybe an email, right? Hey, I don't know how to respond to that. So not everyone on this call has maybe had the nice little email from Suzanne regarding this, but she's been processing this or at least then reassigning this particular email to an agency. That's what's been happening. That's kind of not very efficient, right? And so we want to improve on efficiency. The ultimate, our mission is to help the stakeholders. In this case, the stakeholders is you in our case, but also ultimately our customer is the constituent, right? And so instead of routing this all the way through an email system, we want to make improvements and using what Qualtrics has, what we call a closed loop system. This closed loop system is also known as a ticketing system. And so we're calling this an assistance workflow. We're going to make improvements. Some of you, I know what I'm going to say because you know what I'm talking about regarding this closed loop system, but we're going to turn this on tomorrow. This was talked about briefly in the past, but we're going to kind of turn this on. It's already been up and working in the email system, but now we're going to turn on the workflow. I just kind of want to tell you, like, there's a lot of data here. We've already kind of turned this workflow back on in January. So some of you will see that you have data in your dashboard. Again, that's the step 5 we're going to get to, that have those emails that Suzanne has been floating around inside your data, showing you are getting requests about accessibility or whatever the requests are. So kind of high level, that's what's happening. Is tomorrow we're going to turn the launch date on and more to come. So who's responsible for this is probably some of you on this call, but not all of you. Natalie already articulated at the beginning of the call that there was a form that was sent out and there was 3 different point of contacts. Those point of contacts are accessibility. This is an accessibility project. So the person that we're talking about that's going to be responsible for these tickets is the accessibility point of contact. So just kind of high level. So again, might not be you, Charisse. I'm just pointing you out, right? I'm just saying it might not be you, but you have a designated accessibility person within DOT. Okay, so she's going to understand what's going on, so she's aware of it. But again, just knowing there's different roles within that. Now, I'm going to pause for a second. Is there anything you want to add about that? Okay. So what's going to happen, as we already said, most of you, 95% of you have the feedback tab. And in that feedback tab, there is a request to access accessibility help, right? In addition, there's the footer, right? 2 runways to get to an intake. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. So we have the footer and the feedback. Here, I'm going to pause for a second and give Charles a lot of kudos. Charles built this baby in a very robust way with the help of Jade and Hunter. But in reality, he built this that we know exactly which website it's coming from. And we actually know at the bottom of the footer, there's a unique URL tied to it. So you might not realize this, but at the assistance URL at the bottom of the footer has a very unique code tied to that website. So in reality, if a constituent is coming to your website, they're going to your website, right? It is from your website. So don't think this is coming from somewhere else. If they went and clicked on the assistant link at the bottom or the feedback tab, we have a lot of embedded data in this beast of a feedback tab. So just so you know, like, it's coming routed to you because it came from your website. So if that makes sense. So anyway, what we're going to do is they fill out the form. Don't care if it's the feedback tab or the bottom of the footer. So be aware of that. Comes in, right? That's the intake. Comes in, it currently goes to an email to Suzanne, right? We're going to disregard that. We're going to bypass the Suzanne. It's going to go straight to the agency. So I'm going to pick on Colleen right now. Colleen, I don't know if you're the accessibility point of contact, but let's pretend that you are. It's going to come, they're on a DPS website, and they go fill out the form. It's going to go to Colleen, okay? So whoever you provided that would then get a ticket, and it's going to look like this. You're going to get an email much like this. You are going to get an email like this. It'll have a link to the ticket, and again, we'll go more in the details, but you're going to get, hey, someone's asking for some accessibility help. Can you work with it? So this is an example of what we call the closed loop system or ticketing system within Qualtrics. So this example is you will have an email, you'll have the information that was submitted inside here. So again, we'll talk more about this in the demo, but once you click on that ticket link, it will take you directly to this page. And we'll talk more, but that's what you're going to be linked to. And it contains all the information you need to know to better serve your constituent in this case. So how do you process the ticket? Well, I like to say it's easy as 1, 2, and 3, and 4 if needed, right? So I'm being kind of funny, but the purpose of the ticket is to contact the constituent. What's their problem, right? How can we help them? That's the ultimate goal. We're not here to micromanage on how you contact them. We just want you to contact them. Once it's in your hands, we're not gonna this is yours, right? It's your responsibility to do that. So you can contact them via phone. You can email them. Again, up to you. We encourage you to use the closed loop system, the ticketing system, as a one-stop shop instead of an email triage, right? You can document inside this ticketing system or closed loop system. You can add comments. You can attach files. You can say you contacted them on July 1st. You can tell them you wished them happy birthday. I don't care what you put in there, but you can say what you did because that's tracking of what took place. You have some kind of documentation of what you did with that stakeholder, right? And then update the status. Obviously, if you're working on it, it's in progress. If it's done, you're going to close it. Reassignment. Again, I kind of mentioned how much work Charles put in there and how we know it's coming through the website, DPS, or at the footer, right? Again, I'm picking on you, Colleen, but just to kind of explain it, DPS, it came to DPS's website, or they went in the footer, right? So we know it went to you. The only rare occasion that could possibly happen where it might not be DPS and they thought they were on DOE's website, right? I don't know why, but maybe it really does need to be reassigned to Department of Ed, right? So there are rare occasions of that. And I'm going to pause for a second because I know Suzanne has some true use cases of how customers actually have used this, but that reassignment should not happen very often. So Suzanne, could you just tell me some use cases that you have run across on reassignment?
I would say the most common one is people don't know which website that they need to go to find the information they're looking for. So they go to iowa.gov and then they will put in their request there. And then that needs to be, I would forward it to whatever agency was applicable. But most commonly it's that they just don't know where to find the information.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and that's going to happen, right? I mean, I don't think I knew everything what the state government did until I got into the government, right? And so they just want help, right? And so there we have a process for that reassignment because ultimately we do want to engage the stakeholder and help them. So to contact the constituent, you will be able to then, again, call them. Again, we don't care how you do it. That's up to you and your agency, but we do have an email way through Qualtrics within the closed loop system. And I know some of you know this, but if you email from that system, it actually tracks it within that ticket. So you have that paper trail again, that maybe your boss is saying, hey, I've got a call from Mickey Mouse down the road and he is really livid. He said he never got an email or he never got contacted. You will then be able to bring up this ticket and say, hey, well, I emailed them on July 1st and I wished them happy 250th anniversary on July 4th, right? Like, I don't know what you told them, right? But you at least have the paper trail within the closed loop system. Also, you can add comments. Maybe you called them and wished them happy birthday, right? Or whatever the case may be. And you can attach a file, which might be nice if this is truly an accessibility request. A good file attachment might be the accessible document they're looking for, or a link to wherever they're going. So maybe they come back. Again, you guys can come up with the internal process that you want. Update your status, just like anything. If you're working on it, just like we do in Service Desk, it's in progress, right? And then truly close it when you're done, right? That's the purpose of this. This is called a closed loop system. Ultimately, the goal is close the ticket, right? And so mark it closed, and we will want you to mark it closed. Like, that would be something I would say is an expectation. If you're done with it, close it. So then we have good data. And then reassigning. Again, I already kind of talked about that. Suzanne already articulated reassigning, how it should be rare, but it happens. So we wanted to give you a solution for the reassignment. But the ultimate goal of this reassignment is a one-time reassignment, right? We don't want this thing going in a tornado, right? And so we've kind of work in progress for you. Within the ticketing system, we have a submit reassignment request right here, and you're going to fill out a form much like this, and you're going to say, this doesn't belong. So I'm going to go back to the example I said to Colleen, like maybe someone's on DPS website and she's like, they're asking me about education and childcare and all these things, like that's not DPS, but she's going to review it. Colleen's going to review this, like, this is what I think it should go to DOE, right? She's not ultimately saying it needs to go to DOE, but she's done some help and looked at it. And so she's going to say, yes, it needs to be reassigned. And yeah, the seems like this could possibly be DOE because of X, Y, and Z, right? And then she hits submit. What happens after she hits submit is it going to go to the triage team. So like, this is going to the emergency room now, and we need to like review this, right? And we're going to decide it needs to go down to the best doctor in the world or whatever, right? That's what triage team does, right? And so this will be Suzanne. She's going to look at it. She's going to review it. And then she's going to determine, yeah, this needs to be reassigned. She's got a process that I'm not going to talk about, but it's pretty cool what Charles built, just going to say what she's got to do. But she's going to then make the call and saying this needs to go to DOE, right? In this example that I'm going, then you'll see that this is triggered as a reassignment. So you're going to get a different email saying reassignment. Here is what Suzanne said. We believe this is a DOE request. Original request went to, says DOM, but in my use case, DPS, right? And here's the link to it. It's the same link. It's the same ticket. It's not a new ticket. So again, comments on this is good, right? Like, we can see what you did, Colleen, right? Maybe you're saying, I really think this is childcare, right? Like, so again, then your expectation is to, again, picking on Lisa in this case, or DOE, is to finish this off. That is how you reassign it, and then you would close it. So we do have a reassignment group. In addition, we will do have a demo, so we'll get you guys more in the weeds here in a minute. But we do have a dashboard. The accessibility point of contacts, keep in mind, not all of you will fall into that bucket. So let's kind of circle back to the beginning here. My words got kind of jumbled there, but accessibility point of contacts will have access to the dashboard. Very similar to what we just saw from Jade, right? They're going to go to projects and find accessibility assistance. Also, within this particular dashboard, since this is a ticket system or a closed loop system, you have another way to access the dashboard, is to go to view dashboards, and you'll be able to find your accessibility assistance there. You do not, if you are a point of contact right now for accessibility, don't look for it. You don't have access to it yet. So I'm just letting you know, but we will get you access July 1st for those that are accessibility point of contacts. So just kind of be there. What is the use of a dashboard? The dashboard could be just a great idea. Tracy said you can also send reminders. Maybe it's a Monday morning. You send yourself a scheduled reminder. I need to look at the tickets. I need to remember hey, I know I got a couple emails, I responded to them, but I don't know if that customer got what they needed, and etc. So just use it the way of like any dashboard. You need to finish it up. You need to go back and check that you have any in progress need to be moved to closed, right? And so you use this as a tool, right? The dashboard is also ways to filter and use a lot of metrics to determine I'm receiving 200 a week. Well, then you might need to talk to your manager and see what we need to do with that, right? Like that's a lot, right? Or how can we help better serve you? You won't get 200 a week, so don't worry about it. But you get my example, right? So just kind of a tool for you. So I really would like you to make sure you check that dashboard. You see the power of the dashboard. So that is what we have. And then I have additional instructions on how to use the dashboard. Again, very similar as your other dashboards. In addition, obviously Qualtrics is used for numerous things, and the closed loop system, the ticketing system, is highly used. Or actually another way we're stretching Qualtrics. This particular video is a participant guide for some that are a participant user within Qualtrics. That is not you guys. You all have access to create and build and do all great things. But within this short 2-minute video is a really good video to understand how to work tickets, because most participants within Qualtrics know how all they're doing is working tickets within Qualtrics. And so this video is a great introduction video if you want to share and as well, but just kind of letting you know, I'm not going to do the video right now, but another resource to get you even how do you find your tickets within Qualtrics is a great way to just kind of go over that. So I'm going to stop sharing. So Charles, go ahead and let's start with the ticketing system, because we already had a submission, right? Yep. Okay. Charles, you can go off mute because I might have you engage with me.
I guess.
You gotta talk back to her. So we use DAS as an example. So I'm assuming what has happened, right? So someone went on DAS's website, right? Or DAS's footer. Okay. So what's happened then is an email is generated. I don't know who's on call for DAS, but let's just say Donald Duck is the point of contact for DAS. So Donald Duck is the point of contact, accessibility point of contact at DAS. So they would get an email, Donald would get an email like this and says, hey, a new accessibility. That is the intake and notification. So what would Donald need to do? Donald would need to click on that link. So go ahead, Charles, permission granted to click on the ticket link. That ticket link will then go directly to that ticket. As you can see, Mickey Mouse was the stakeholder, the constituent, the person on public, right? Filled it out and provided an email, provided the name, said what's wrong with it. Everything is here for you on that ticket details. Thanks, Jade. So what I also want to point out, though, there are a few things that you might want to check out. And I don't know what you uploaded, Charles, but you notice that if you go to the URL and file name, there's a view. Can you go to the URL file name? And that would actually click whatever was put in there. Mickey Mouse template, it's very cute. I love it, Charles. So they added having issues with that. So whatever the intake is, they provided some information, and then you can at least see what they're referring to, right? Let's go to current URL. Where did we fill this out? So let's click on that view. Nice demo there. So it was on the DAS homepage, right? So that kind of helps you know where this is coming from. A lot of data behind the scenes. So again, you get the point, right? You can see all the data here. One thing I want to point out before we talk about a reassignment is one really cool way. This ticket screen is great, right? It's nice, but sometimes we just want to see a document, right? So if you go to response PDF at the bottom, response PDF, there is a view. So can we go ahead and click on that? Voila. This is not, you're going to ask me, can this be customized? The answer is no. So, but this is what we have, and we're happy what we have because it does give you kind of a, again, not beautiful, but it does let you kind of skim it. It does also let you download it as a PDF. So maybe you do need assistance from Daphne down the street, right? And maybe like, hey, I got this request here. Can you help me? Like, how do I guide? Like, so you can get them out of the Qualtrics system, right? And download this PDF and email it to, you know, Minnie down the street that maybe is department GSE, right? We don't need to get them to reassign this ticket to them. you're the point of contact. You're responsible for this ticket. So you might need to outsource the information, but then pull the information back into the one central spot. So this download PDF option is a great way to get the information out without you recreating it. So you could easily download it, email it to whoever, GSE, whoever it is that you need to kind of get more information from. So again, not beautiful. You can do whatever you want with that, but that is something I would use because I don't want them in my ticket system, right? We don't want them in there, right? We just want to get the, go for it. Yeah.
So sorry, just want to hop in real quick. When you say download and like, as you're talking, you're saying within your own agency, right? Yeah. So like, Charisse, you need to flip it over to someone within your agency. This would not be for reassigning to other agencies. Correct. You would use the reassignment that'll triage through Suzanne so that we can keep that ticket flowing.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah. This is your internal, I need help, right? Hopefully you don't, but yes, correct. This is not a reassignment. Yeah. So let's go back, but that is a good view for you. So I do want to make sure you see that just for your own stuff. So then there's other things here, but let's go back to number 2. Step 1, we contact them. We'll talk about that in a minute. But step 2 was to document, right? Document your work. So Charles is going to go to comments at the bottom there, and he can go ahead and click on that, and he can add gibberish here, right? Maybe contact them, wish Mickey happy birthday, whatever that it is that we needed to do in that comment, right? And then hit submit. There will be a time, I'm just going to tell you, it's going to happen. There will be a time it says you do not have permission to make a comment. A couple things might have happened. You might need to just refresh, just refresh. Something didn't like something, just refresh. And before you refresh, copy what you did and hit submit, right? I'm just telling you, like, that happens. Yeah. Yes, it happens. So if you get that error message, you're not going to submit a ticket because I've been told that you'll have to refresh. So there's that. You can submit a ticket. I'm just being funny, but it'll happen. And I don't want to recreate it. The other thing is the customer survey response. If you scroll down, Charles, ignore. In this particular view, that's why we have the response PDF. It's not going to be beneficial for you. This is a big survey, right? It's got everything that Charles has built. Ignore, not helpful. If you're using a true closed loop system for maybe a different project, I wouldn't say true, for a different project, for something outside this, that customer survey response can be very beneficial. So I don't want you to think it's not good for everything. It is, just not for this one. Sub tickets you're not going to use either. So pretty much I can't remove those 2 things. So I would just ignore them. But file attachments, going back to my use case earlier that I mentioned, if you are truly helping accessibility requests, this is a great example to attach the accessibility document, right? Or whatever. Or maybe you did whatever you want. So you can attach whatever file you want. You can attach multiple individual. I know some of you know I work in the review and approval process. I have many attachments because I work with you outside. I bring it back all into the ticket. So let's go back to, yeah, go ahead, Natalie.
Constituent see the comment or the file attachment from this view? No. Who's the audience? Okay.
Only agency's point of contacts can see this. Whoever has access, can you scroll up for me? That's a really good call out. Thank you, Natalie. If you scroll up, the only people that can see this is the DAS accessibility group and the DOM accessibility group. So the owner of the ticket system and the DAS. So those are the only, whoever members are in there can see it. So, and again, a point of contacts is the accessibility group, just clear. So again, back to contact, you can contact the by phone number, right? Mickey Mouse's phone number is there, call them, then make a comment, right? What I recommend though, most of us don't like to call. I don't. Natalie and I know, like phone, least thing, right? Like if I can text you this way, we're gonna do it that way. And that's just that's the environment, right? They want an email, so do you, right? So let's go to send email. So go to send email. I want to point out a few things. Charles, go ahead and just type it in email there. You cannot do a whole bunch of multiple addresses. This is a one and done. This is not as robust as some other systems. So if you're wanting to send it to 6,000 people, you're not going to do that. It's really mostly for the stakeholder. And then if you need someone else, you're going to have to CC or BCC them. I'm just going to be honest. It's a one and done kind of thing. So just kind of know that. So really, this is a great one communication to the stakeholders, how I would do that, right? So, but then if you really wanted to include someone else, you can CC them, but BCC. But keep in mind, this is going to the public. So who are you sending from is also important, and who you include in that email. If they can see the CC, they're also going to go directly to the CC. So just be careful on how you handle that, right? Like come up with your own internal I'm giving you some suggestions. Do the 2 and don't do the CCC or the BCC, in my humble opinion, because you have the one-stop shop. Okay. If you want, I would strongly recommend to change your from if you are not the person. There are some of you that have resource accounts. You can change it to the resource account. If you want to say no reply at iowa.gov, that's fine too. I don't care what you do here, but whatever you send from needs to be a valid domain at the end. Do not try to do a domain that we do not have in our system. So it's iowa.gov, we have dom.iowa.gov, we've got all of the agencies. So you should be able to send from your email address, okay? So do put a valid email or no reply, right? You guys come up with your own process. We're not going to tell you that. I'm just giving you things to be considering. Reply address, same thing. Up to you on how you want to handle that. But then the subject line, I would be more specific, right? You could maybe want to put an indicator, the ticket number on there. Down the road, we could show you how to make templates. I'm not going to do that today for time constraints, but there is ways to make templates that you can do a rinse and repeat. We can talk about that down the road. You can attach files. Again, it's an email system. It's a send as. So just kind of know, like, there are limitations. I do know there's a limitation in size, and I don't remember it at the top of my head, but you're not going to send that much. So just if you get an error message saying too large, then cut it down. So there's that. I would say make best practices within your own, right? Like I don't want to micromanage, but test it. Best way to do it is test it. And so come up with a good plan on that. But I would say also, here's another thing that's important. Go ahead and type in some gibberish there, Charles, and hit send. What's going to happen is it will go to, oh, you do have to have a from. So you could say do not reply if you wanted to do a not or whatever. Put something that makes sense. You could say accessibility team, DOM accessibility team. There's many ways to handle that. And we can come up with some better guidance, but right now we want you to kind of do it your own, right? But with that, the other thing to be aware of is if Mickey Mouse hits reply, here's what you're going to ask me. Mickey Mouse hits reply, right? And he's contacting you because you actually put a valid email in, right? That valid email will then go to Charles's account because he put a valid email. But it will not, hear me, it will not go in this system, okay? And the reason is because we are a FedRAMP high environment, and we do not currently have that available because we're such a high secure environment, because obviously we're allowing stuff in, right, that we are not monitoring yet. So right now that is a feature request, but it is not here now. So what would you do if Mickey Mouse replied back to Charles? You would document it in here. You could print it as a PDF, attach it. You could copy and paste the text into the comments, right? Ultimately, this is your one-stop shop. So you want to put the information in here, right? Is it a little extra step? Yeah, but what does it do? It covers you. It provides information. You're making it more efficient. I can't emphasize that extra step is worth it. Gets it out of the email system. So when you do take 2 weeks off, I've never heard of anybody doing that, then they could come in and know exactly where you left, right? So it's really important that you do this, right? Because at the end of the day, the stakeholder is being taken care of. So that's my thoughts, okay? Natalie, you have something to add to that?
Yes. So okay. Love that. Yes. It's all about the constituent experience. And we know that. That's why we're here together today. That's what drives our work. Would like to hear from you, Suzanne, though, just kind of to temper expectations a little bit, because nobody needs more work on their plate. How often have you been receiving responses back when you reach out to people?
Probably, I would say out of 10, I probably received 2 responses back. And that was their request was unclear to me what they wanted. So I emailed them back and said, could you give me a little more detail so I can, forward this to the agency that can help you the best, kind of thing.
Great. Thank you. Other thing that I'm going to add, just because I'm hot mic'd right now, please don't put PII in here, PHI, any of that sort of thing. So as we talk about adding attachments or putting in comments, not the place for it. So try and avoid that, and then follow your agency best practices on
especially to the email to the stakeholder. You're then sending it really outside of the environment, right? So, and then, so this is maybe one of those rare occasions, that doesn't belong to DAS, right? And so then you could click on submit reassignment where it's right here. Now, some of you, just to say, putting my Qualtrics product owner hat on here, there's other ways to do this. This is unique and very good job. What we need for this particular project, but this is not the normal way to reassign, but this works great for this big project. So just kind of like letting you know, but for this project, if you need to reassign, this is how you do it. So Charles is going to go ahead and click on view, and you'll see the submit reassign. And this is where I go back to, yes, it needs to be reassigned and it doesn't belong to this agency. And you would type in to help poor Suzanne, because now she's got the emergency triage. And I recommend to go to Dial. That's awesome. Thank you. Nice job, Charles. Good, Vanna. Hannah is on fire. So go ahead and hit submit. And that's going to be very helpful for Suzanne then to then reassign it officially to Dial. So we're not going to go through all those steps, but there's notifications coming, right? So Suzanne would get a notification. Then if it got reassigned, we already showed you a screenshot of that. It's got this is being reassigned. It's kind of like last stop. And if you really don't, then reach out to the Service Desk Plus team and the DX team will help you. Like that's our goal. But yeah, so there, that's what happens. Okay, let's take a quick tour on how to locate the Accessibility Assistance dashboard. You can find it in multiple places. You can go to the hamburger menu once you're logged in and go to Tickets. And then under View Dashboard, you should locate the Accessibility Assistance, and that will take you directly. So this is very useful when you're inside the ticket system to access the dashboard. Now, this is role-based access, so you would only have access to the tickets that apply to the agency that you have been assigned to. So again, this is obviously the DX sandbox, so we don't have any data in here, so be aware of that. But you do have ways to filter the data and et cetera, but you should have access to this. So we strongly encourage you to use this, and you will be able to then navigate to your tickets. The other option that we have is you can always go to projects. And then if you have a lot of things, you could go to projects and then share dashboards, and then you will find the accessibility assistance. So again, very user-friendly, take you directly to the hyperlinks within here as shown in the slide deck earlier. So this is a quick tutorial on how to make sure you know how to get to the accessibility dashboard. So be aware of that.